Everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the new DC Comics Multiverse 4-inch Batman vs. Solomon Grundy Deluxe figure set from Mattel Toys. Now, this set is based on the Batman Arkham City video game. We've got Solomon Grundy and then a Batman figure that has a comic book year one skin. Basically, it's one of the alternate skins you can use in the video game. So even though technically it's based on the video game, we're kind of getting a comic book character with this set. And this is the second set in this series of deluxe figures. The other day we took a look at the first set, which was Clayface and the Neal Adams Batman skin. And these figures come packaged in the same kind of style of packaging that we've seen with the single-carded DC Multiverse figures. You've got that kind of orangey red borders. You've got the DC Comics Multiverse logo up at the top, and it tells us that these are highly detailed and authentic for adult collectors. Off to the side, you have the Batman Arkham City image of Batman, and then you have the figures clearly displayed in this window box packaging. And then down below, you have the name of the characters. On the back of the packaging, we have looks at both of the characters, Batman in his year one costume, and Solomon Grundy from the video game off on the side, and we have some brief stats for each character, and then in the middle we have an image of the actual set, the figures with the diorama piece. And then down below it shows us that there are three different sets, deluxe sets that have been released or are going to be released. The Batman vs. Clayface, the Batman vs. Solomon Grundy, and then a Nightwing vs. Killer Croc. And all three of the cage diorama pieces fit together to form one kind of steel cage. Now I have the Batman Solomon Grundy and the Clayface. I believe those are the only two sets that have been released to date. I don't think the Nightwing vs. Killer Croc set has yet been released. Okay, so let's get this set open and take a look at what's inside. So here's a look at the contents outside of the packaging. And so we've got the two figures, the Deluxe Grundy figure and then the Batman Year One figure, and then we have the diorama pieces. So let's first look at the diorama pieces before we look at the figures. This is very basically almost identical to the diorama piece that comes with the Clayface Neal Adams Batman set that we looked at the other day. It's basically a piece of plastic that's made to look like concrete slabs, and you've got some little rocks sculpted on there, and then the bars are sculpted so that they're bent open. Now I would have liked, I don't mind if one of the set of bars are sculpted open, but it would have been better, I think, if they had given us one set of bars that were not bent open like this. But so you just snap it into place, and that creates your jail wall, and you can put the figure, one of the figures behind it. You can have him like reaching through and stuff like that, and then you can have like Batman sitting outside guarding the prisoner basically. And then if you have the other set, then you can create a second wall. And again, these are almost identical, and they just kind of fit in together. You take the little peg that sticks out on the one and you stick it in the hole, and it just pops into place. And then you have two sides of the cage now. And then when you have the third set, it just clips in over here, and then you'd have three walls. I guess they didn't feel you needed a fourth wall, so there's only three sets in this line, but there you go. And then you can basically put Grundy or Clayface or any of the other figures for that matter in there, and they can be in jail basically. So neither figure comes with any accessory. Like with the Clayface figure, he had the alternate hand, but this one doesn't come with any kind of accessory. The chest piece is not removable. The blood and the stitching is just sculpted on the figure, but that piece is not removable like with the DC Collectibles version. So no accessories with either figure. This Year One Batman, it's not bad looking, but he's got like all this line work. It almost strikes me more as like a New 52 costume than a Year One Batman. But other than that, I think the figure looks pretty good. Like with that Neal Adams Batman, he's got the soft goods cape. Basically, it looks, other than the color scheme, and the belt is different. The utility belt, he's got all the pouches on this one, and the belt is kind of a cream color as opposed to yellow. And then the rest of the figure is black and gray. But other than the paint apps and the belt, the figure is almost identical to that Neil Adams Batman that we looked at in the first set. Okay, so articulation on these figures is pretty much what we've seen with the other figures in this line. Batman can turn his head left and right, but he doesn't have any up or down movement. He can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation at the arm. He can bend his elbow about that much, single hinged elbow, and then he does have swivels at the wrist. No midsection articulation. He does have a swivel at the waist. He can do the splits good. He's got those joints on the side like we see with all the figures in this line. He can get his leg forward about that much, and he can get his leg backwards pretty good. He does have a thigh swivel, single hinged knee, and then he has no ankle articulation on this figure, and he has 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Then for Grundy, he can turn his head, but again, no up or down movement with the neck. He can get his arm out pretty good, and he's got good rotation. He can bend his elbow about that much, single hinged elbow, and then he has swivels at the wrist. He's got this kind of ab crunch joint, but he doesn't really have any ab crunch, but he does have a little bit of swivel. He can turn like that. So basically it's kind of like it's like the waist swivel, only it's at the midsection. And then he doesn't actually have a waist swivel. He can get his legs out good, and he can get his leg forward about that much, and really can't do his leg back at all because of the way the butt is sculpted. Does have a thigh swivel, can bend single hinged knee, so he can bend his knee about that much, and then no ankle articulation on this figure either, and no peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I would say if you've been collecting this line, if you like the regular single-carded figures, then I think this deluxe set is pretty cool. I like the Grundy figure. I think the detail is decent. You know, it's not on par with the DC Collectibles version, but, you know, again, it's nowhere near as expensive. So, you know, for what it is, you know, these sets cost about $25 each, and so I don't think it's a bad set. If you're not collecting this line, I don't think it's something you want to start collecting, you know, if you don't have the other figures in the line. So if you're a fan of this line, or think it's a decent enough line that you've been collecting it, then I definitely think these sets are worth picking up. Otherwise, I would say you probably want to pass on them. These 2 sets are being released. I've seen them on Amazon, and Big Bad Toy Store have them in stock. I haven't actually seen them in retail stores, but I think places like Toys R Us will be carrying them. The 3rd set I don't think is out. The set with Nightwing and Killer Croc I don't think has been released yet, but the first 2 sets in this line have. So if you want to pick them up, start checking your stores now. And that's my review. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.